Before we dive into the main topic, please take a moment to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, like this podcast, and leave a comment to support the channel. Your engagement truly helps. Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're not looking at the far future. No hover cars, nothing like that.
No interstellar travel just yet?
Not today.
Yeah.
We're really focusing on the immediate horizon. Let's say the next 7 to 10 years. We've got a whole stack of sources here that detail what experts are, actively predicting will be commonplace by the end of this decade.
Right.
And it's this total convergence of artificial intelligence, seamless automation, and the incredible and maybe terrifying power of computer vision.
It's a fascinating set of sources because it really forces you to think not just about what's coming, but why it matters, like right now.
Exactly.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to unpack some really specific projected advancements. Everything from, say, the complete automation of customer service.
Which is huge.
It's huge. All the way to revolutionary visual assistants. And we want to immediately confront the critical and I think often contradictory questions these things raise, because the AI that's helping the blind see is, at its core, the exact same engine that's being optimized for mass surveillance.
Okay, let's unpack that first one, because I think this impacts basically everyone listening who's ever, spent an hour on hold waiting for a human agent. The sources are very definitive. The scope is just. It's astonishing. Industry experts are predicting that by the end of the next decade, chatbots will have replaced humans in all customer service call centers.
And that phrase, all customer service call centers, that is the key thing to analyze here.
Right. Not some, not most, all.
Exactly. This isn't just about, making things a bit more efficient where a robot handles the easy stuff. The sources are talking about total completion. It's why they use that future perfect tense. The chatbots will have replaced humans.
So the human element is just
gone
from that whole pipeline.
Completely gone.
That feels like such a radical shift, because right now, the biggest problem is what you could call the frustration point. You hit a button, you get a robotic voice, it can't understand your specific problem, and you just end up shouting human into the phone.
Precisely. And the technological leap required to get to this total replacement is all about removing that specific frustration point.
So what do the sources say? How do they do that?
Well, they project that the quality of computer-generated speech and the AI's ability to understand context will have improved so much that these chatbots will just sound
human.
Exactly. Just like humans. They'll be able to handle complex issues, understand slang, even pick up on frustration in your voice and adapt.
So the consequence isn't just, saving the company money. It actually transforms our whole idea of digital trust. The crucial point here is that you, the listener, will be having conversations with computers, and you might not even know it.
Yeah, and how do you verify who you're even talking to? That raises a huge point about recourse. Right now, if a chatbot fails, you ask for a supervisor.
Of course.
In a totally automated system where the AI is flawlessly mimicking a person, there is no supervisor. The tech behind this is, it's AI, chatbots, virtual assistants, but it's also highly specialized voice recognition for accents and things, plus super accurate computer translation for global call centers.
So it's not just a better voice, it's this deep cognitive technology that's designed to do what a human does. Negotiate, understand, solve a problem.
Absolutely.
So if this replacement is total, not partial, if you can't just wait for a manager, because the manager is also an AI, it completely changes the consumer relationship. It gets rid of what you could call human friction.
And you won't be guaranteed a human interaction when you call your bank, your doctor, your internet provider, anything. The entire interface just becomes a digital conversation.
Where the AI's ability to act human isn't just a fun feature, it's a whole point. It's the economic driver.
And that will ripple out, way beyond just service calls. Think about it. If an AI can handle a complex emotional complaint about a billing error, it can probably handle most standard professional conversations. This signals the end of expecting a human to be on the other end of a digital service call.
Okay, that automation story is, well, it's Massive. It disrupts jobs. It redefines trust. But this next part is where the tech moves from just efficiency to something revolutionary. We're shifting focus to computer vision and how AI can literally grant sight. The sources talk about an application being developed right now to help blind people see by translating the world into audio.
And what's so fascinating here is that this isn't waiting on some single massive breakthrough. It's not a quantum leap. The breakthrough is actually the combination of existing software all working together at incredible speed.
And all on a regular smartphone, right?
Entirely on a standard smartphone platform.
So walk us through how that works. What are the steps? Because I think understanding the mechanism here is key to understanding the dual use potential later on.
Absolutely. So step one is capture. The user just holds up their phone and the camera captures what's around them. A street, a room, a menu at a cafe.
Simple enough.
Then comes the really complex part, processing. This uses advanced deep learning image recognition software. This is the AI analyzing all the pixels and figuring out what they mean, recognizing objects, reading text.
So it goes beyond just seeing a shape. It understands that is a red sign and says the word STOP.
Precisely. It builds a descriptive model of what it's seeing. And then the final step is conversion. All that processed visual data gets converted into speech using really sophisticated text-to-speech technology. The app narrates the world to the user in real time.
That is just profoundly life-changing.
It's incredible.
And the sources say they're already adding the next layer. Facial recognition. The goal is for the app to be able to announce when a friend or a family member is approaching you.
Imagine the independence that gives someone, just knowing immediately who's walking toward you on a busy street.
It's amazing. But what this really highlights for me is the speed. How far off is this?
Well, this is the thing. It's not some university project that's 10 years away. The sources confirm it's already a high-fidelity working prototype.
Working prototype, okay.
And even more, a polished beta version is confidently expected by the end of next year.
Wow, so just 12 to 18 months away.
That ridiculously fast jump from prototype to public testing just shows how mature these components, like image recognition, have become. They're leaving the lab and going straight into our lives.
Which grounds this whole discussion in reality. This is ready, it's tested, and it's being deployed.
Yeah.
But the second we start talking about real-time facial recognition, identifying people on the fly,
yeah,
we have to pivot.
We have to.
Because the exact same core tech that lets a blind person recognize their friend is the engine for new types of state surveillance. The scope just explodes from personal assistance to mass monitoring.
And this is where we have to lead that critical discussion. The single most ethically charged prediction in these sources is this: that special facial recognition glasses will be developed.
Okay.
And they will be linked directly to police databases to pick out suspects in a crowd in real time.
See, that's what makes people uneasy, I think myself included. It's not just the glasses, it's that immediate link to massive criminal databases in a public space.
Yeah.
It's a move toward invisible, constant identification.
It's the immediacy and the scale. That's what's so unsettling.
Yeah.
But let's look at the dual use. We've already kind of accepted facial recognition in controlled places, right? Like airport security.
Sure, at a checkpoint.
Exactly. In that context, the argument is all about safety and efficiency. Spot a threat faster. It's a trade-off you make for security when you travel.
But this is scaling that up massively. You're going from a controlled checkpoint to, what, scanning every face in a public park, a stadium, just via glasses worn by an officer on patrol. All the friction is gone.
And that's where you get these profound questions about mission creep and civil liberties. On the one hand, the promise is obvious. You can spot a dangerous fugitive instantly. That's a huge win for public safety.
Of course. But the downside is the complete elimination of public anonymity. The second that tool exists, the power dynamic between you and the state just shifts dramatically.
Even if you are completely innocent, you're still consenting to being identified, tracked, and logged just by walking down the street.
So what's the piece of tech that enables that? What links it all together?
It's the underlying platform, the operating system, the OS. The OS is the silent orchestrator that lets the glasses talk instantly to a nationwide police database. It's the infrastructure, the hardware, the glass is important, but it's the network that turns them into a true surveillance tool.
So the OS becomes more than just something that runs your apps. It becomes the invisible default that facilitates control and record keeping.
Right, and the distinction between a personal device and a government tool starts to get really blurry.
And these conversations, the pros and cons of this, they have to happen now, while it's still in that prototype debate phase, not after it's already on every street corner.
You have to hold both thoughts at once. The incredible good this does for accessibility and the inherent threat it poses to privacy when it's networked like that. That balance, or maybe the lack of it, is going to define the next decade.
So just to recap the tech we've covered in this segment, we're talking about facial recognition as the core function, and the fundamental operating system, or OS, as the platform connecting it to these huge databases.
So if we pull this all together, we've really looked at two major and immediate predictions for the next 10 years. First, you have the convenience and maybe the inevitability of total automation in customer service through these incredibly human-like chatbots.
So erasing the human element there.
And on the other hand, you have the profound dual impact of computer vision. It offers these life-changing tools for visual assistance, but at the exact same time, it opens the door to ubiquitous, real-time surveillance. The tech is moving so fast that the line between helper and monitor is it's blurring instantly.
And that leads right to the final provocative thought I want to leave everyone with. Let's connect the vocabulary here. We know that technologies like these advanced chatbots are rapidly changing our smartphones. We know that facial recognition is already in high-stakes places like airport security. So the question is this: how quickly will these specialized tools, the seamless automation and the comprehensive recognition, merge into the fundamental operating system, the OS, that controls our entire digital lives? What happens when universal recognition and total automation aren't apps you choose to use, but are just invisible defaults, built into the very fabric of the software we use every single second of every day? Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell